With CM Punk allegedly sucker punching Jack Perry and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Asked if there are voids to be filled in the women's division on the main roster, Seth Rollins told After the Bell, I would say 100%. There's a lot of space to fill there on Raw, on SmackDown. I think absolutely there is a void. What I sense more than anything is this kind of bubbling little undercurrent from our audience. Like, they want something fresh and new, and they want to have people to get behind. They want it. And I'm not saying these people are coming from NXT. You never know. It might be somebody that steps up, a Chelsea Green, a Piper Niven. You never know. There's tons of women capable on our main roster at the moment, but there is like this, I'm feeling it. It's very much like we want something more out of the women. We know it's there and we can't wait to see it, but there's like a growing intrigue. There's a growing desire to see it. This past Monday, Zoe Stark was in the ring with my wife Becky, and they absolutely wrecked the main event of Monday Night Raw. Absolutely wrecked it. And that was Zoe's first main event. It was her first main event on Raw, and I told her afterwards, I said first of many. It's going to be a huge thing. She's one of them that has the opportunity to really lead this next generation of women into the future. I just think that it's there. I feel like they're on the cusp of a breakthrough. I felt like Monday was a huge reminder of what they're capable of. They haven't, and I'm going to be frank with you, they haven't been showcased as well as they could have been over the past, 6 months or so. They haven't been, aside from a few exceptions, and I don't need to pick and choose and name names. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, and that's part of the industry. It's part of the business. I've been in situations where I absolutely feel like I've not been showcased or male talent in the same way. It has nothing to do, in my opinion, with gender at all. It's just a commentary on where we're at right now. There are opportunities, and I think Monday was a reminder of how incredible our female talent roster is, and can be when given the opportunity to main event, to succeed, and to be the best. I think it's all there. I just can't wait to see who steps up and fills that space and grabs that ring. As AEW star Bandido suffered a broken wrist back in June and had surgery in July, this was said in an update by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Bandido has the cast off his wrist, so he should be back soon. He got the pin taken out 2 weeks ago, and September was originally when he was expected to return. Previously, AR Fox was expected to compete at AEW's All-In event, but he would not make it out for the show, where it was said that there was heat on him. Now, it's been said, we're told that AR Fox was planned for the match with Swerve Strickland against Sting and Darby Allin at All-In, unlike the situation with Rey Fenix, where he was never truly set for the match and was planned to be removed. It was noted to Fightful that Fox hasn't worked international dates since 2016, and the company did not feel like he was forthright about his ability to work outside the country, though we haven't heard exactly why he couldn't. Ultimately, the late switch caused what we saw unfold on Dynamite, with AR Fox taking a pin, losing to Nick Wayne. We're told that despite being well liked in the company, there was heat on him for the situation. There was some discussion regarding his status with the Mogul Embassy affiliates and whether or not he should stay, but ultimately the split was decided on. For a status update on Xavier Woods following his injury announcement on social media, the Wrestling Observer said Woods will be off Raw next week due to Whiplash, which is storyline based. Touching on the return of a tag team to WWE, PW Insider reported that Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering are expected to be in Orlando this week, including this week's NXT TV. Prior to the late Bray Wyatt making his return to WWE, it seems as though there were plans for him to make his AEW debut. As the Wrestling Observer newsletter pointed out, he never wrestled for the next year, even with great demand for him from other companies. At one point, TNT was told a date for him to debut in AEW, but it fell through, believed to be money related. Impact was interested, as was AAA and Japanese groups. He did nothing and then pushed the idea of him returning using the name Wyndham 6. He pushed the name in social media, but before ever using it, he went back to the old character, signifying a return to WWE upcoming. Explaining why Brock Lesnar turned down a WrestleMania 39 match against Bray Wyatt, the Wrestling Observer newsletter said Lesnar asked out of the match. It was nothing personal, just felt it was the wrong opponent for his character. Noting what was set to take place for the storyline involving Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy, the Wrestling Observer newsletter wrote that Taylor Rotunda Bo Dallas had returned to WWE as Uncle Howdy. At first, the idea was for Wyatt to build to a match with Howdy at WrestleMania, but that plans ended up changing and Howdy was not being pushed at that level and the character dropped. Alexa Bliss, who was associated with Wyatt years earlier in doing a female monster gimmick, was about to go back to the gimmick when he became ill. She later got pregnant, so the plans never developed. After receiving the Iron Mike Mazurki Award at the Cauliflower Alley Club ceremony, CM Punk would take the time to pay tribute to Bray Wyatt. Here's the clip.
I stand on the shoulders of giants, literally. I would not be able to do any of this if it wasn't for people like Eddie Guerrero, for people like Tracy Smothers. I wish Chris Bandido was here. And I am now, thank you, I am now at the age where, unfortunately, my contemporaries are passing away. Jay Briscoe, Bray Wyatt, two people who should still be with us, two people who I consider to be young still. Terry Funk recently just passed away. I was fortunate to know Terry Funk. Man, Terry Funk lived a life. I think if you were to ask Terry right before he went, are you ready to go? He would have told you he was ready to go 10 years ago. But Bray, Jay Briscoe, I don't think they were ready, so I think it's important to remember them.
With Bryan Danielson injuring his forearm in his match against Okada at Forbidden Door, this was said about his impending recovery and return to AEW. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it was noted that it will probably need a photo finish, but Bryan Danielson was told he could return in October. Dave Meltzer further added that Wrestle Dream being in Seattle would be the place if everything goes well. Meltzer stated it would work if he can cross the finish line by those dates. On Busted Open Radio, Bully Ray talked about the altercation between CM Punk and Jack Perry, where he said this regarding Perry's actions. Jungle Boy is an ignorant young boy who doesn't understand this industry. He doesn't know better. He's a young, brash kid who doesn't know better. And I'm sure the dirt sheets are going to have a field day with this one. But he needs to be sat down by a veteran like a Taz, like a JR, like a Billy Gunn, one of those guys, and made to understand and educate him as to why you don't say those things on camera for a multitude of reasons. He doesn't know any better. He's flexing when he shouldn't be flexing and flexing for no reason. Back in the day, there was a way to handle young boys like Jack Perry. Some of those ways still apply, and I'm not talking about beating the out of him, but back in the day, that's what would have happened. Giving more information on the physical altercation that took place between CM Punk and Jack Perry at All In, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted another version, and this would be a neutral source who was not a wrestler but was there and witnessed it, and his version was that right after Perry came to the back, Punk went nose to nose with him aggressively and asked him if he had a problem. That person said Perry said he was just looking to get heat as a heel. Punk shoved him hard, Perry got in his face, and in that version, Punk sucker punched him and went for a choke. People immediately broke it up and Khan was yelling at Punk to let him go. Adding to what took place at the event when this incident was happening, it was said that while this was going on, the announcers and production people were told to stall because at this point nobody knew if Punk versus Joe would happen. Nobody except those who saw the situation knew why, only told to stall before the first match. Jim Ross noted that he was planned for a major entrance at the show, and because of what was going on backstage, which happened right before he was to go out, he was told to just go out to ringside in a low-key manner. They did briefly play his music, got the pop, and he waved to the crowd. Mentioning the backstage reaction to the previously mentioned altercation, the Wrestling Observer wrote that person said that once they were separated, Punk lunged in Khan's direction, but a number of people got in his way while Punk was yelling, "I quit." Monitors were knocked down during all this. Joe was very upset and went to calm Punk down. Another person said that many of the wrestlers think both Perry and Punk were at fault, and when the talent found out, they got more motivated to put on great matches. It kind of brought everyone together, and Samoa Joe was a real leader, was one comment made. After the incident, Punk said he was quitting. He was scheduled in the pay-per-view opener against Samoa Joe. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.